Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of FPL Hotline, the Game Week 14 preview. I'm your host, Matt Tomo, joined, as always, by Tazz, Gasch, and C4. Nice to have the full squad back together. What's up, everybody? How you doing?
How's it going, everyone?
When's the last time we had everyone on?
It's our first episode in like 2 weeks without the whole squad. Well, 2 episodes, 2 game weeks. We're working double time this week. This is our second episode of the week. It's tough. Tough stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Are you paying us extra?
Yeah.
We're getting paid.
Well, so far we've made like $2 from all the ad revenue. So
Where's it going?
You can have the full $2.
Well, that's not all his. I mean, we have to split that 4 ways, right?
Yeah, man, I've only put
You can
in
have your share.
$75.
Yeah, you can take my share of the $2.
That's better.
All right, let's talk about Game Week 13, which just ended earlier today. Got a 2-1 win for Wolves over Chelsea on Tuesday. Goals for Wolves were scored by Podence and Neto, assisted by Vitinha and Otasoe. Chelsea's goal was scored by Olivier Giroud and assisted by Ben Chilwell. And the other game on Tuesday was a 1-1 draw, a surprising 1-1 draw between Man City and West Brom. Gundogan scored for Man City, assisted by Sterling. And on the other side, West Brom's goal was an own goal by Diaz, but they gave Ajayi the assist for that one. Surprising result for Man City. Probably a surprising win for a lot of Chelsea supporters as well, considering Wolves' poor form and Chelsea supporters' constant desire to overvalue how good their team is. Any thoughts on those Tuesday games? I was really shocked at the City game, personally.
Oh, it was fantastic to see Chelsea lose, especially in that fashion, like the 95th minute winner or whatever it was.
Yeah,
oh
it was like there was probably like 10 or 15 seconds left in the match.
It was perfect.
It was dope. Love to see it. Any other thoughts on those games? I mean, I know we're gonna get into Chelsea and City both a little more in depth later, so let's save it for that.
Yeah, let's save those 2 games.
Let's save it. All right. And then on Wednesday we had 6 games. Leeds with a 5-2 win over Newcastle. How you like that, C4?
We're still better than Arsenal.
Yeah, that's probably right with that. Goals scored for Leeds. Goals were scored by Dallas, Alioski, Bamford again, Harrison, and Rodrigo. Assisted by Cleach, Harrison, Rodrigo, and 2 for Hernandez. Newcastle's goals were scored by Hendrick and Clark, assisted by Wilson and Fraser. C4, what are your thoughts on the match? I'll let you talk about that one real quick.
Honestly, at this point, I'm more interested in how supposedly the Premier League approved like a new TV deal for, I guess, the Middle East, and Newcastle is the only team to vote against it just because we're still pissed off about the takeover being turned down. So as long as we don't get relegated this season, I don't care about anything else that happens.
Yeah, same for Arsenal. Yep. The other games for Wednesday, for Arsenal, a 1-1 draw. Finally, not a loss for the boys. Goal for ex-Arsenal man Theo Walcott. He celebrated it. Some people were upset. I didn't care. Honestly, I would have celebrated it at this point too, like against Arsenal. And then assisted by Che Adams. On the other side for Arsenal, the goal was scored by Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, assisted by Eddie Nketiah. Did you guys see Aubameyang's tweet after the game? A lot of people were pissed.
Is he what he retweeted?
Yeah, so they obviously have not been playing well. They drew, and then like maybe 10 minutes after the final whistle, Bukayo Saka already posted a tweet like, "I'm sorry to the fans, like you guys deserve better than this, blah blah blah." And then Aubameyang was bragging about his goal in a 1-1 draw. He retweeted, I think, Gary Lineker, maybe one of those pundits. They were like, "Oh, now the goals are gonna start flooding in." But like retweeted it with the eye emoji. Like, man, like how does a 19-year-old Saka have a better mentality than our captain? Like, come on. Moving on though, Everton with a 2-0 win over Leicester. Goal scored for Holgate and Richarlison, assisted by Iwobi and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Nice to see Iwobi on the score sheet. A boring 0-0 draw between Fulham and Brighton. Couple of keeper points there, though, for Areola and Sanchez. That's about it.
Yeah, not for Ryan.
Are you upset about that?
No, man, it was great. I love having a playing keeper.
In the match that was touted as a potential match of the season, we had a Liverpool 2-1 victory over Spurs. Goals scored by Firmino and Salah, assisted by Andy Robertson. And on the other side, another goal for Son, assisted by Lo Celso. And then in the final game on Wednesday, a 1-1 draw between West Ham and Crystal Palace. Goals scored for Palace by Benteke, assisted by Ward. And for West Ham, the goal was scored by Haller and assisted by Kufal. So, any thoughts on the Wednesday games?
The better team lost.
I thought it was Spurs.
The first. Yeah, that's how Jose is.
I don't disagree with him though.
I mean, the stats disagree with Jose, but that's I find that pretty funny. I forgot it was like Fox Sports or something, like one of the bigger ones, like on Twitter, retweeted like a caption of like Mourinho saying that, and like the in the same picture it was like the stats from the game, and like Liverpool had like over 70% possession, like double the amount of like shots and like triple almost the amount of chances created compared to Spurs, and then like Jose's like, yeah, the better team lost.
I do have like there are two things to me that stick out about that. Like one, I think that's kind of actually misleading because Spurs created fewer chances, but their chances were higher quality. So, like, I mean, that's what the game is about. If they sit deep and defend and then just, create really, really good chances and can actually take them and win, then I don't see any problem with, doing that. And then the other thing is actually it's exactly what Jose Mourinho's MO is. What he's done for 15 or so years now is he says something like that, and then all the attention immediately goes to him. And it's not on it's not focusing on his players at all. Like about how if they played poorly or anything, instead of the media targeting them, it targets him, and it just takes the pressure off them entirely. And somehow I'm sure the media realizes and they just don't care because they sell their headlines either way. So
it's just because Jose makes great headlines. I think they know, but they got to go for the good headline.
As long as it sells, they don't really care.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about him. I love his Instagram posts after too. He's so funny. It's weird to love a Spurs manager, but I really do. Anything else stood out to you? Robertson finally returned in his last week on my squad, so thank you, Andy Robertson. Big win for Leeds. A lot of action there. Typical Leeds result, 5-2 scoreline. I feel like that's very typical. Leicester blanked.
I was kind of surprised by that, especially with Vardy.
Yeah, Vardy did so well the previous match. Thought he might do something. But he did not. Calvert-Lewin didn't score, but he assisted. A lot of times, didn't you guys say that it's Richarlison assists DCL the most? Isn't that something we talked about earlier in the year? Maybe.
I think
It might have been James in the beginning of the year when he was racking up those assists.
Yeah, so James again fails to get on the score sheet on either side. I think that's 7 or 8 game weeks in a row at this point.
James not
Did he play?
Yeah, he didn't play.
Yeah, so he failed to get on the score sheet.
It's actually true.
But it's kind of hard to get on the score sheet if you're not even on the bench.
I'm not wrong, right? Moving on to Thursday, to today's matches. A 0-0 draw between Villa and Burnley. Again, some nice goalkeeper points there for Pope and Martinez. And Man United with a big 3-2 victory over Sheffield United.
Yes, sir.
Rashford with the brace. The other goal scored by Martial, assisted by Martial, Lindelof, and Pogba. Welcome back, Pogba, to the score sheet. And on the other side for Sheffield, McGoldrick with the brace, assisted by Fleck and Burke. Gash, thoughts on that one?
It was a tough game to watch at times. It's actually funny because Sheffield scored within the first 5 minutes, and then they scored in just about the last 5 minutes of the game. So for pretty much the entire game, United were the better team in terms of like keeping the ball and creating chances and stuff. So I'm glad they were able to grind it out. And now everyone, all the media were kind of shitting on Ollie earlier in the season, and now he's played one game fewer. And if they win that game against Burnley that was postponed, they'd be second in the league right now and only 2 points off Liverpool. So I don't know.
The Bruno Fernandes streak ends though. The away game returns. Couldn't go on forever. Awesome little streak though. Awesome big streak to start his United career there. Sadly comes to an end. Good thing I didn't captain him, I guess. Right?
Yeah, thank God you got Mane for the other blank.
Yeah. That 11 o'clock deadline really screwed with me, man. Let's talk about Chelsea now. Do we want to hold or sell our Chelsea assets? Just for reference, they got a couple of tough games coming up. They are playing West Ham, Arsenal, Villa, and then City. So not super hard, but not super easy either. Pulisic hasn't returned in a while. Ziyech hasn't returned in a while.
It's hard when you're injured.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you guys talk about Chelsea instead of me? Because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Since I didn't get to explain my transfer last time, I took out Ben Chilwell this past week, and the week before that, I didn't replace Ziyech with another Chelsea asset just because I'm growing more concerned and unconvinced of their play, especially when you look at their upcoming schedule. Like I was texting a Chelsea fan earlier last week, and he's like, "What are you talking about? We're going to do well." I'm like, "Nah, I don't see you guys doing well through the stretch. Like until they don't play Fulham until game week 19. Like, I see everything up until game week 17 before the blank being rough for them. So I could see you wanting some cheap Chelsea cover. The only asset I'd consider right now is Dan James. But apart from that, I'd sell off my Chelsea assets."
Wait, you're talking to Chelsea fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you keep Dan James on Chelsea? Probably that would require a transfer from Man United to get over there.
Reece James.
I'm just more surprised that you were actually texting someone. I didn't know you had friends. I thought we were only friends.
No, I only talked to you. So one of you guys is a closet Chelsea fan. Figure it out.
No. Maybe something else in the closet, but I'm not a Chelsea fan.
Any other thoughts on Chelsea, Tazz?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't see why anyone would have any Chelsea assets up to this point unless you have Dan James. Reece James or Chilwell. I feel like those are the only two, and I currently have Chilwell. I don't really plan to transfer him out during this stretch. He returned and the loss to Wolves, return an assist, and I feel like that's something that and I don't expect him to return like a clean sheet like throughout the span as much, but if he turns one clean sheet and like assist here or there, and he also has like good decent enough like goal threat, so I'll be happy with that. I feel like I would rather focus on transfers elsewhere in my team. If you do have a free transfer, maybe like that's something I would definitely consider. But like me, I'm more concerned right now about bringing in like more set like my premium assets and like Salah. That don't really want to waste a transfer on Chilwell, who if I do like use the transfer on him, it's kind of like who can I bring in at that price range that's gonna like it's gonna be worthy of like all those points and like a transfer basically. But besides that, like all their attacking options, I don't think any of them are FPL viable right now.
Gash?
Yeah, I tend to agree with what they said. I think the one player that actually is also a decent option is Zuma, just because he won't offer as much offensively, like as consistently as Chilwell does. But if you're trying to save money, I actually don't know what his price is up to now, so he actually might be much closer.
5.7.
And I think Chilwell is 6'2" or something right now.
Yeah, and then James is 5'3".
Yeah, so I mean, those are kind of essentially your three levels. Then, I mean, Reece James is the most subject to rotation with Azpilicueta. I'm not sure if Azpi was just starting the Champions League games or how Lampard's been doing that. But you know that Azpilicueta can come in and take his spot, and in any given game, especially over the busy Christmas period. And then Zuma is your nailed-on center back, but not as offensive, of course, as Chilwell, who's the most expensive and flying forward a lot. I tend to agree with what Tazz said. Whereas I don't necessarily expect the clean sheets to come over the tough schedule in the next couple of games. But I think it's interesting because if Chelsea aren't keeping the clean sheets, that means they're going to be conceding a lot of goals, or at least some goals. So they'll probably need to attack more. So he actually might be getting forward still and getting assists and maybe chipping with a goal or here or there. So I don't think I'm going to be getting rid of Chilwell, which is my only current Chelsea asset, just because I think there are other priorities, like getting a playing goalkeeper that I have at the moment. But I wouldn't necessarily bring one in either if I didn't have one.
Yeah, let's kind of just real quick pick a Chelsea defender if we all could, because I think Zuma, Chilwell, and James are all decent options. You mentioned a rotation risk with James, and while Azpilicueta is always there knocking on the door, James hasn't started on the bench since week 5, and he's played the full 90 in 11 of their 13 Premier League matches. The 2 he didn't were game week 4 and 5. So it seems like it's his spot, but Aspie's always there, just breathing down his neck.
Well, the thing I would think about there is that Chelsea, the midweek games were the Champions League games. So if Frank continues to play Aspie midweek, then those would be Premier League games now over at least the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's a good chance for a little rotation risk there.
Yeah, just a thought.
Yeah. So if you had to pick between those 3 defenders for Chelsea, who are you going with?
Probably Chilwell.
Chilwell? Tazz?
Same Chilwell. I have in my team, and not really tempted to transfer him out.
C4?
No.
I would probably go Chilwell because I have him. So yeah. All right, let's move on from Chelsea. Let's go over to Man City. Man City are having problems with their attacking assets not returning lately. De Bruyne, what did he do? De Bruyne has only scored 3 and 4 fantasy points respectively in the last 2 matches. Definitely not looking like his tip-top form. And then what about Sterling? Sterling has 3 and 7 in the last few matches. So what's going on with City? How are we feeling? C4, I know you're excited about your boy Aguero coming back, looking like it could be for this game week. He came on for a little cameo appearance there at the end. So that common sense would lead you to believe that was like his little warm-up, getting ready to start this next one. I think Jesus picked up a little knock as well, so that might help Aguero's odds. I think he's like fine. I don't think he was in the injury report, but I know he went down.
Oh yeah, I remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
So that could help Aguero's chances as well. You've been saying all year that as soon as he's healthy, he's in your team. Is that happening this week? Is he coming in?
Yeah. I mean, if you guys want me to, I'd make the transfer right now. But I think when you look at okay, but
do it.
I'll start. I'll do it right now when I'm talking.
Stop talking. Do it.
I'll say this right now. Like, if I'm a Kevin De Bruyne owner, I'm not at all concerned. Like, I think we can all agree, despite City's offensive struggles, that he still looks pretty good. He's the center of that attack. He's creating most of their chances. Well, I think it was in a 5-minute span. He easily could have had 2 assists, but then, I don't know, Gundogan screwed one up. I forget who screwed the other one up. Might have been Sterling. But in terms of that, just like from watching City play, to me, it seems like where they're struggling right now is when teams are sitting back on them and, they're not giving them any space to play, which is a problem because I don't think Jesus or Aguero helps them in that regard, one over the other. And I think it's just something they have to get through tactically. And now Gasch is like, say something to me and tell me that I'm wrong.
No, not that. Thank you for acknowledging the hand raise, by the way. I'm gonna somewhat agree with you, but somewhat disagree. I was actually looking at the stats over the course of the season so far, and City are 5th for expected goals. so like what you would think they would be scoring, but they're 12th in the league for actual goals scored right now. They are behind. They've scored fewer goals than Crystal Palace and only 2 more goals than Newcastle.
Is that adjusted for them not having played a week? The expected
No,
goals?
that's up to date right now. But also Newcastle.
Is the expected goals per 90, or is it their?
No, it's not expected goals per 90. It's expected goals over the entire season.
Okay.
So, and Newcastle's also only played 12 games because they missed that game for the COVID, and they have 16 goals while City only has 18. And again, Crystal Palace has 19 goals. So it's really, I think it's really just a finishing issue where they need an Aguero, maybe an Aguero like of 5 years ago that wasn't super injury prone and was playing pretty much every week. So I don't know if he's going to even be enough to solve their problems. I mean, with the way he's been lately, he could always come back and then, play a couple of weeks and then get hurt for another couple of months. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go into the market in January for a striker, someone to finish the chances that De Bruyne has been creating.
I would just say to that though, like if he's healthy, I think you want him in your FPL team. Like last year showed that when he was healthy, he still has it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe right now at 10.3. This is the cheapest he's been in FPL in probably over 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I don't know enough to correct you on the spot, but that sounds right.
So to me, it's a pretty easy move from Vardy to him, which I think is a smart one when you look at what Leicester's upcoming fixtures are like. If you have the money in the bank and still don't have Kane in your team currently, then you could also make that move. But personally, I plan on fitting both of them to my team, but I think Aguero, when healthy, is a must-own in this situation.
I kind of feel like KDB has been somewhat unlucky to, if you're just looking at the past 2 games, like with the Gameweek 12 to play United for a 0-0 draw. So it's kind of like, those games, like, yes, you do still expect like your premium assets to return, but at the same time, it's kind of, it's a big match. So both teams might have played more defensive stuff like that. So I feel like you got to kind of break. And for this past week, it's kind of more of a, touching upon like the finishing thing is definitely, I feel like Aguero would have helped a little bit. But also like, it is the thing that City play a little bit differently when against teams that like just sit back. Like looking at this just against the game against West Brom, KDB had the most shots with 4, followed by Rodri and Gundogan both with 4 shots also. They took more shots than like Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling, and Gabriel Jesus, which are more attacking players. So it's kind of and KDB created 2 chances, most of the team. Just looking at the stat sheet, so it's kind of like I feel he's a little bit unlucky to not to come away with anything. Hopefully, bring Aguero in, KDB racks up more assists, and also maybe Aguero's runs open up more space for KDB to take some better shots. So it can go either way, but definitely KDB. He was bringing goals and assists, playing more deeper. Now he's playing more up forward in that kind of middle camp spot that I would not like really worry about him. And Sterling, it's kind of like the pick of like same thing with Mane and Salah, but like KDB and Sterling, it's kind of like I would only go for Sterling or Mane if as a differential pick. But if you want to go like with a safer option, someone's more nailed on, take penalties, stuff like that, definitely go with KDB and like vice versa Salah.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right, any final thoughts on that?
Just a question for you guys. Besides a healthy KDB and a healthy Aguero, is there any other Man City asset you would own right now from an attacking perspective?
No. I mean, Mahrez puts up crazy numbers anytime he does play, but his rotation is just way too hard to predict. He definitely will play a 90 in this upcoming week, I'm assuming, in this upcoming week or 2. But I just don't know when it's going to be, Mm-hmm. If I could time that, I would bring in Mahrez, but it's just too hard to time. So the answer is no for me. De Bruyne or bust.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, the only other one I'd probably consider is Sterling's always a consideration because he's pretty nailed. But really? I don't like his. Yeah, well, so I'll get to that in a second. But I don't really like his. He misses a lot of relatively easy chances. Even though his finishing has improved over the years, it's still not great. What I was going to say is that Foden is probably the one I'd consider just taking price and everything into account. But even now this season, I haven't caught many of City's games, but I don't think he's starting as much as you would like, as to pay that kind of money for him.
Yeah, that hype that was around him in preseason hasn't lasted. Like, the first couple of games, he played 90, 63, 90, 88, 45. And since then, the West Brom game was the only game he's played over 60 minutes in since game week 7.
Yeah, like I remember maybe last season when he was kind of coming out to the scene and David Silva's contract was ending, people were kind of touting him as like the new David Silva. But he hasn't, I don't know if Pep's reluctant to try him in that role, but Pep did call him the most talented player he's ever coached. So, I mean, you would think he'd be able to play David Silva's role, but I guess not.
To be fair, didn't he have COVID in there when he came back from England when he got caught, like, sneaking out of rooms?
I don't think he actually caught COVID from that.
Okay.
No, I don't think he just broke the protocol.
Yeah,
okay.
I think.
And then, there's Bernardo Silva, who might as well go to MLS at this point. They're saving him for NYCFC.
Yeah, I don't know why he's, kind of just dropped off.
Yeah.
We don't see what goes on in training, but it's got to be something.
Yeah, Foden's not worth it at this point. I was pretty high on him preseason because I wasn't expecting that David Silva will take over. It just hasn't happened at all. Definitely not. C4, are you good?
Yeah, the dishwasher's going off again, so I just want to get through that.
Don't talk about your mom like that.
Oh. Yeah, we had nachos for dinner, so like all those dishes, right?
Moving on. Let's talk about our captain picks for this game week. Let me go through the fixtures and see which games you probably want to target. Liverpool against Crystal Palace is probably going to target. United against Leeds could be fun for United attacking assets. Chelsea West Ham if you have some faith in Chelsea, but as we talked about before, we don't really. So it looks like either United or Liverpool for me.
That's what me and Gasch, when we were talking before, that's kind of what we narrowed it down to. We narrowed it down basically to Salah versus Fernandes.
Yeah, because City's going against Southampton, and Southampton have been solid all year long. I could see that being a 1-1, 1-0, something like that. But I could see the United game kind of popping off like another big scoreline. So I would stay away from United defensive assets. But like, I'll just say my pick for captain this week is going to be Bruno. I think because coming off the no return this game. I just think he'll be motivated for it.
What do you think the percent chance is that it stays as Mane?
I won't forget to set my lineup 2 game weeks in a row.
Yeah. All right. Just remember early Sunday morning before the deadline.
You mean Saturday?
What? Oh, that's news to me.
And then he failed it again because it's actually Friday.
Nah, I think I'll do it after the episode. I can't forget.
Oh yeah, man.
I'm going.
You got time.
I think I'm going with Bruno, but is there any rotation risk for him? Did he play the full 90 this past match?
So we were talking about that beforehand, and he did not play the full 90 this past match, but he did play like 75, 80 minutes or something like that. And United don't have so the next week they play, I think, Sunday, and then Wednesday is a Carabao Cup game against Everton, and then they play Saturday. So what the consideration is how important is that Carabao Cup game? Is he going to start in that game, or what's the plan there? So I would say there is a slight chance of rotation, but I think the fact that he got pulled off 10 minutes early means he's probably starting on Sunday. And also I think the Premier League it's actually relatively wide open at this point. So there's no reason to not go full throttle Premier League after being knocked out of the Champions League. So personally, I think most fans would be okay if we just fielded like a young team against Everton in the Carabao Cup. If they win and go through, fantastic. If they get knocked out, then it's one fewer competition to worry about.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Tazz?
I'm kind of between. I don't have Salah, and I'm kind of planning to bring him in this week, so that's kind of like my choice right now. If I do bring him in, if I don't bring him in, I'll probably go with risk it on Bruno, even with possible rotation. I think against Leeds, that's like I see both. United being at home and Leeds been just kind of playing attacking football the entire time. That I can see them going. I can easily see it being like a 3-2 score line, and hopefully Bruno returns this time.
Yeah, we were talking about. I think we mentioned it last episode that Bruno's the type of player who could do some damage even in only a half of action. So I would still feel okay about giving him the captain's band in general. C4.
So you guys have actually flipped my mind midway through you guys talking. I just looked up. Liverpool doesn't have a midweek fixture next week, meaning after the Crystal Palace game, they have basically a week off until Boxing Day.
Wow.
So to me, that I was going to say Bruno when you first asked the question, but that kind of flipped me over to Salah right now. As an alternative option, I just want to ask this question. No offense to you, Tomo, but at what point do we start considering an Arsenal like one of the bottom 5 teams in the league and like someone you would captain a player against? I mean that like in a serious manner, not trying to like. Like when do we start considering that?
I mean they've been okay defensively though.
Because like just to say where my mind's at is like, if we told you DCL was playing against a bottom 5 team in the Premier League this weekend, to me that makes for a decent captaincy option.
Yeah, but Arsenal's biggest struggle has been offensively. Like they've been okay defensively.
I don't know. I think they've just been struggling, but okay.
Well, C4, have you captained DCL this week or this season?
No, I haven't owned him.
You haven't owned him at all this season?
No.
What's the cheapest captain you gone with this season so far?
I haven't.
I did a Hamas captain at like 7-7.
I don't think it hasn't been anyone under 10 million. I think the only players I captained this season are Kane, Salah, KDB, Aubameyang, and Mane. Maybe Sterling.
So then even if like, let's say DCL's playing the bottom team in the league, and then you have like, Liverpool or City playing like medium fixtures, are you still gonna captain DCL over those premium assets?
If I own him, I'd have to consider it. Yeah.
I consider is one thing, but captaining, I don't see anyone really captaining. I see it always like 90% of the time people captaining just the premium asset. Like we always mention like differential captain picks, but even if like somebody like DCL, or other like kind of like players like that playing bottom teams, it's like it's something that we're always like, oh, like that's a good fixture, but at the end of the day, everyone's gonna go with like one of the premium assets.
I don't know. I think it's kind of silly to think that the leading scorer in the Premier League can't be a captaincy option against a bottom 5 team. Like I don't know. Like
well, I don't like how confidently you're calling Arsenal a bottom 5 team. I don't know.
In this situation where we're considering them a bottom 5 team now, I don't know if we are. That's why I'm asking the question.
I mean, that would be in the bottom 5 to be considered. No.
I don't know.
It takes a lot longer for them to be considered an actual bottom 5 team. I mean, we're 14 weeks into the season. A lot of like the traditional
season, basically, man. Like,
yeah, but as of right now,
it's not halfway through the season, you dingus. If we doubled it, then you're still only in the 20s, and there's still like 10 games left to play.
Yeah, but we would also have to be a bottom 5 team. Right now, we're a bottom 6 team. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Give it at least till like through the Christmas period, probably. Like the individual player quality isn't bottom 5 level. It's just they're not clicking as a team. So it's not like they need to overhaul and bring in like some crazy number of players to not be a bottom 5 team. It's just like
they need to sell a lot of players.
So with that argument that you're telling me, Man City are not a top 5 team in the Premier League,
that's not what I'm asking.
No, he was just trying to like take a shot at Arsenal, but also make you kind of believable.
What do you think? Man City are playing like a top 4 team in the Premier League right now?
I think they're playing more like a top 9 team. If you ask me.
That's exactly right.
Seriously though, they are not playing that well. That's true. But Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think I'm gonna. I'm probably gonna captain. I don't know. It's between Bruno and Salah for me right now, but I'm also the only one I'm pretty much ruling out is Vardy. So I'm thinking Bruno Salah with little KDB on the side. That's a kind of where my head's at. I'd probably say like 40-40 Bruno Salah and then 20% KDB. Because I mean, Southampton's been good recently. But KDB, on his day, if City start finishing chances, that's still a team they could rip apart. But again, I'm probably leading Bruno or Salah, I think, for this weekend.
Well, you got to pick one. Who is it?
I don't know. I have like 2 more days.
Well, just pick for the people right now.
Okay, Matt Ryan. Yeah, that's my transfer this week. I think I think I'm bringing in Johnston.
You wouldn't bring in McCarty?
No, I have KWP already. I don't want to double Southampton defense. Plus, West Brom just brought in Big Sam Allardyce, who's never been relegated from the Premier League. So I think he's going to, shore him up defensively, play some straight Brexit ball, long ball up the pitch, and the results will come. Plus, Johnson gets a lot of save points too.
I just have a random question that I want to throw out there, totally unrelated to my team. But if you had to pick a Southampton defender, because KWP, Vestergaard, and Bednarek are all within 0.3 of each other, and they're all scoring pretty similarly. 61 points so far for Vestergaard, 54 for Bednarek, and 48 for Walker Peters. What do we think is the best option for Southampton defenders?
Bednarek. Pick the cheapest one if they're all that similar.
Yeah.
All right. So Andy Robertson to Bednarek, freeing up some money to go Watkins to DCL in time for the bottom 6 matchup against Arsenal.
So you bring in DCL ahead of him playing Arsenal?
Yeah, that way if he scores, I don't have to be that upset. Silver lining.
That would actually
play for Richarlison brace and DCL playing Arsenal loss.
Wait, can Gabriel play this week? Stupid question.
No.
Two yellows is a 1-game ban?
Oh, that's right. He missed. Oh, didn't he? He got sent off over the weekend?
No, he got sent off in the most recent game, but it's a 1-game.
Yeah, so he misses this game.
Yeah, it's a 1-game ban.
Okay.
Unless, what was the second yellow for?
Well, it was 2 yellows. So it was,
if one of them's for violent conduct or
yeah, but if it's violent conduct, it's a red.
Okay.
Because that happened to Xhaka. They originally gave him a second yellow, but then they said no, it's a straight red.
Yeah, after the yellow. He's getting a little kinky with the throat grab.
Fucking Xhaka, dude. What an idiot. I'm still mad about that. That was 2 game weeks ago.
What did he didn't he say something about the fans, Arsenal fans last season? Do you know what I'm talking about?
He took off the captain's band and
and threw it on the ground, right?
They booed him off the pitch, and we thought his Arsenal career was done, and then it resurrected just for him to fucking do that last week.
Didn't after that happen they re-voted him as captain or something like that?
Well, he got a lot of death threats from Arsenal fans on Twitter. He had to disable his accounts for a little bit. He had to apologize. It was a big clusterfuck.
And he's sorry, you guys suck, and you're booing me.
He's just not good enough, bro. He should have never left Germany. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought there were rumors. I thought that they turned down a £20 million offer for him over the summer or something like that. From a German team like Hertha Berlin or something like that.
I hope that's not true because now we'll be lucky to get a fucking fiver for him. I would sell him for that, by the way. I'd sell him for that. I'd sell him for some fish and chips.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Apparently, Granit Xhaka to Hertha Berlin, £26 million offer.
When?
It was at this time last year. So I'm guessing it would have been for last winter. Okay. But the article is from December 30th, 2019. Yeah. Yeah,
I think that's when he was getting back into the team after the whole drama.
Unless it was over the summer.
All right, let's not talk about Xhaka anymore.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's a lot. Yeah, so they could have sold him for about 26 million pounds.
And now they'll be lucky to get like a quarter of that.
Yeah, not be lucky not have to pay that to get rid of him.
Oh, jeez, man. I don't even know how Arsenal can get better from here, man. Arteta in, though. Arteta in.
The only way you can go is up, right?
That's not true. There's still 5 places to go.
There's still 5 places.
Bottom 5, bottom 4.
C4, to answer your question from before, if they drop to like 16th, then you can start treating them like a bottom 5 team.
Aren't they in 16th right now?
No, they're 15th.
Okay.
Idiot.
All right.
I don't know. I think you gotta wait at least like, I don't know, 5 or 10 more games. But yeah, go ahead.
It's just been so bad. If it's this bad for like 4 or 5 more games, then yeah. But like they always say, like they're too good to go down. You know, they got to figure it out, right?
Arsenal relegation. Can you imagine the 2-1 loss with Arsenal relegation confirmed? But Aubameyang like retweets someone like, "Man, Aubameyang scored a nice goal."
Well, I've actually always meant to watch more championship games. So yeah.
There you go.
Maybe Arsenal can win that at least.
Yeah, we'll probably fucking wreck that league. I mean, maybe.
I mean, Newcastle could win that league then.
All right, let's change the topic before you guys get too sad.
Do we have anything else to talk about?
I don't think so.
All right, bye.